Welcome back to Thousand Year Personalities, the channel where we bring history's most fascinating figures to life. Today we're diving into the extraordinary life of the one and only William Shakespeare. Whether you're a theater buff or just someone who's heard of Romeo and Juliet in high school, Shakespeare's influence is everywhere, from modern films to everyday language. So, who was this enigmatic wordsmith? How did a small-town boy from England become the Bard of Avon, the most celebrated playwright in history? Let's unravel the story of William Shakespeare. And don't forget to stay till the end for our outro. You won't want to miss it. William Shakespeare was born on April 23, 1564, in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He was the third of 8 children, but like many families of the time, not all of his siblings survived childhood. His father, John Shakespeare, was a glove maker and an alderman, while his mother, Mary Arden, came from a well-to-do farming family. So, young William grew up in a modest but relatively comfortable household. The exact details of his early life are a bit of a mystery. There's no diary or treasure trove of letters to guide us. But historians believe he attended the local grammar school in Stratford. Here he would have studied Latin, classical literature, and rhetoric. Little did anyone know that this young boy scribbling away in schoolbooks would one day pen some of the greatest works in the English language. In 1582, at the tender age of 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, not the Hollywood actress, of course, but a local woman 8 years his senior. The marriage raised eyebrows. Anne was already several months pregnant with their first child, Susanna. A few years later, they welcomed twins, Hamnet and Judith. Life seemed to be settling into a quiet domestic rhythm. But then came a mysterious period in Shakespeare's life, the infamous lost years. Between 1585 and 1592, there's no record of what Shakespeare was up to. Was he traveling, acting, or honing his craft as a playwright? Nobody knows for sure, but by 1592, he had popped up in London, making a name for himself in the city's bustling theater scene. London in the late 16th century was a hive of creativity and chaos. The theaters were thriving, drawing in people from all walks of life, from the common folk to the aristocracy. Shakespeare arrived just as the theater scene was hitting its stride, and he wasted no time in joining an acting company, first as a performer and soon as a playwright. His early works were historical plays like Henry VI and Richard III, which thrilled audiences with their political intrigue and bloody battles. But it wasn't long before Shakespeare's true genius began to shine. By the mid-1590s, Shakespeare was turning out plays that would go on to become timeless classics. Think about it. Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and The Merchant of Venice all came out during this period. His ability to capture the human condition, love, jealousy, ambition, and betrayal, was unmatched. Shakespeare wasn't just writing for the elite. His plays appealed to everyone. Whether you were a nobleman in a velvet doublet or a rowdy groundling standing in the pit, there was something in his work for you. And let's not forget his sonnets, 154 of them to be exact. These poems delved into themes of beauty, time, and unrequited love, showcasing Shakespeare's mastery of both drama and poetry. The turn of the century marked a new chapter in Shakespeare's career. By this time, he was a shareholder in the Lord Chamberlain's Men, one of London's premier theater companies. When Queen Elizabeth died in 1603, the company was renamed the King's Men in honor of their new patron, King James I. This period saw Shakespeare produce some of his darkest and most complex plays. Hamlet, Othello, Macbeth, and King Lear are masterpieces of tragedy, delving deep into the psyche and exploring the darker corners of human nature. These weren't just plays. They were psychological studies, centuries ahead of their time. While Shakespeare was dazzling London audiences, he was also making savvy financial moves. He invested in property back in Stratford, including the purchase of a grand home called New Place. Unlike the starving artist stereotype, Shakespeare was quite successful in his lifetime. By the time he reached his 40s, he was a respected playwright, a wealthy man, and the co-owner of the famous Globe Theatre. Ah, the Globe Theatre. What an iconic part of Shakespeare's story. Built in 1599, it was a wooden marvel, open to the sky, where Shakespeare's plays came to life. Imagine the atmosphere, the laughter, the gasps, the occasional heckling from the audience. The Globe was the beating heart of London's theatre scene, and it's where many of Shakespeare's most famous works were performed. Sadly, the original Globe burned down in 1613 during a performance of Henry VIII, but Shakespeare had already left an indelible mark on the stage. In his later years, Shakespeare returned to Stratford-upon-Avon, stepping back from the hectic London theatre life. He continued to write, though at a slower pace, collaborating on plays like The Two Noble Kinsmen. His final solo work, The Tempest, is often seen as a farewell to the stage, with its themes of forgiveness and the relinquishment of power. It's almost as if Prospero, the play's magician, was Shakespeare himself, bidding adieu to his craft. On April 23, 1616, his 52nd birthday, William Shakespeare passed away. He was buried in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, and his epitaph famously warns against moving his bones. Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Whether it was superstition or poetic flair, it's a fittingly enigmatic final touch from the bard. But Shakespeare's story didn't end with his death. Over the centuries, his works have been adapted, translated, and performed in every corner of the globe. From stage productions to blockbuster films, his influence is unparalleled. Phrases like break the ice, wild goose chase, and wear my heart upon my sleeve are all Shakespeare's creations. His plays continue to speak to the human experience, proving that great storytelling truly transcends time. That's the life of William Shakespeare, the man who gave us some of the greatest stories ever told. If you enjoyed this journey into the Bard's world, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 1,000-Year Personalities. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty more incredible figures lined up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.